SMART24, driving business.
All right, we'll be back from the break. Let's continue with more of business updates as they're happening here from that world of sports and entertainment. But quickly, it is already time for you to invest. It's already 8:36. That means we have 24 minutes past the hour. Markets on the Zabu platform did open at 8:15 a.m. So now start 292# and quickly start investing for the MTN subscribers. Zabu, powered by Ultex East Africa, says do something new. And how you do something new is by investing your money into something viable, by saying that your money will grow. Don't just save, but save for investment. With Zabu, you can select any preferred bond or any maturity period for your bonds, and then you can definitely see your money grow into something bigger. With a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, Zabu says my money, my future. Powered by Ultex East Africa. The markets on the Zabu platforms do open at 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. These markets are always closed on weekends and during public holidays. With the sports news now, we start with the World Cup fever, which is boosting business for sports stores and then some restaurants as well in Singapore. This is one of the only few that we do have. If you're to look at this, football fans in Singapore are splurging on all things World Cup, with sports shops reporting an increase in the sales of merchandise, while some restaurants and bars have been pulling all-nighters to screen matches. Now, Japanese and South Korean merchandise in particular are high in demand after both Asian countries had passed through to the round of last 16. Surprisingly though, it was not the case for them, as the two Asian countries were both eliminated yesterday. But on the other hand, Singapore business people are making money out of the World Cup in regards to the sports merchandise. Not only the sports merchandise, that includes the jerseys of different teams, and of course also including the others when it comes to the World Cup football that is being used in Qatar, as well as the restaurants in regards to showcasing World Cup matches and also selling different drinks and of course alcoholic beverages in there. Some eateries said they are giving away drinks and snacks to attract fans to come and watch World Cup games, that is in Singapore. So there is also a popular restaurant in Singapore called Coco Nara, which is popular for its fried chicken and Korean stews, is one of such eateries during the FIFA World Cup screenings and has been closing later than usual due to the World Cup games. Remember, there is also differences in time intervals. Now, sports stores selling jerseys and shoes say they are seeing businesses increase by more than half, especially merchandise of the Japanese and South Korean teams, as well as others that have made it to the knockout stages. But as we speak now, Japan and South Korea are on their way to their different countries. Well, you can definitely see how the World Cup is often taking center stage. Here in Uganda, bars are also making some good money, not only in Uganda but across the African continent. Reason being, the World Cup is in there and people are watching different matches that are already into the round of last 16. Surprisingly now, we are only left with only 2 quarterfinal matches to seal. We're left with 1 quarterfinal match to seal, rather, after other quarterfinal matches were already sealed. It will be Brazil up against Croatia on Friday before, and then after it will be Argentina taking on the Netherlands. Then on Saturday, there will be other matches that will be played during the quarterfinals, if you are to look at that. Of course, today will be another one to decide which other quarterfinals do we have, because on Saturday, England will be taking on France, who are the defending champions, and then also we shall wait and see between Morocco and Spain who will be making it to the quarterfinals, and also between Switzerland and Portugal who will be up for quarterfinals in the 2022 ongoing FIFA World Cup in Qatar. And it's something that you could definitely see that the World Cup is now heading to the quarter-final starting Friday this week. And that's it for sports business this morning, as different stores in different countries making money due to jerseys and selling sports merchandise, and also the restaurants and bars making some good money, attracting more fans at the screening of the World Cup. Now let's first cross to Brigadier Andrew to give us more highlights from the world of entertainment. Brigadier Andrew, good morning.
Good morning, Joram. How's it? How's your morning?
Well, the morning is a bit fair. It's a cold one, I should say.
Okay.
It has been cold, raining in most parts of Kampala, and I believe it's going to be a busy day.
It's been really, quite cold. You're right about that. Now, regarding the business and entertainment, just to give you a little highlight of what we should expect this morning, I shall review something from the YouTube Streaming Awards. And actually, they took place they were concluded 2 days back, and so quite so many people that marched. There are quite so many categories of the people. Then we shall come down to review some aspect from the Kenyan, and of course this time around the Kenyan content creators still on the YouTube. Of course, YouTube recently made a list regarding who are those content creators in Kenya that are leading, and of course we shall still go down to Comcast. Comcast, the owners that own Universal Studios, getting to see that their stocks actually rising up despite the current tragedy into the media industry, and of course that seems to be a little bit friendly on that side. Now we officially start the entertainment business news as we start with Kenya, definitely our neighbors here in Kenya, and now we see that Kenya, YouTube recently made a list regarding those top Kenyan YouTube creators, content creators, let me say that, that are really outstanding, and the 3 that matched include Deep Pluto, there is Mongai Eve and Lin Ngugi, and of course leading the list, that is 20 come 2022. And surprisingly, these are the people that were making this content out of the events that were happening in Kenya. For example, the general elections, and their content was really outstanding. And this is something that I've always been communicating regarding the entertainment, that one of the best ways we can really sell our content out there, and it's really outstanding and it's recognized, is when we actually create it based on stories that are within our local areas. Now take a look at these Kenyan content creators, the Pluto, Manga, even Lane Gucci, making quite amazing content out there, and it's really recognized by the YouTube. General elections, what happened in Kenya, because at the end of the day, you cannot make the best content out of the Kenyan elections as those content creators that are within the country, and that attracts money. Now, taking a look at the report here, we see that YouTube recently released a list that's of the most watched videos in Kenya, revealing a sharp rise in consumption of locally generated content. That's from Kenya's general elections. That's news, music, religious, and real-life talk shows. And the Pluto show by content creator, that's Robert Ndegwa led. That's in the top creators category, followed by, of course, looking at Pastor Ezekiel's Odero's New Life TV in Kenya, and also channel and real life experiences talk shows. And of course, getting to understand when we talk about these real life experiences, they talk about the life of the way of lives of the Kenyans, right there, how they are really transpiring up with life, how they catching up with life. And this is all money, so you get to understand how very rich this is. So it comes back to one concept that we should really put into great consideration, and that's the aspect of knowledge, to make sure that you cannot put this content out there unless you are familiar with the situation, getting to analyze the situation. And this is what the Kenyan creators have been doing right there, and they have been recognized regarding that. I don't know how far in Uganda we have gone, of course, how we can be a part of such, whereby YouTube can actually come down here and get to make list of the Ugandan top content creators regarding YouTube. And these are not awards that if you're listed on that, if you're shortlisted on that, you just don't walk away with that. There is a certain fee that you get to walk away with, and that's going to help you to encourage you to create more content. But of course, despite the fee, there is money you earn at the end of the day, and your YouTube channel gets a boost, and the more boosts that you get, the more business that of course comes your way on your channel, and this will be attracting quite so many potential advertisers. And there is fun on that. And of course, I'm going to be explaining more on that in the coming story, where I'm going to talk about actually the general YouTube streaming awards, getting to understand how the streaming platforms works. And definitely we shall not just dwell on YouTube, but we shall also make some comparisons, getting to understand how do, if you're to compare the YouTube pay per streams and looking at other streaming platforms like Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, how much money do you earn per 1,000 views? That's very important to also understand as a content creator out there, to enable you choose the right platform where you can showcase your content and earn some money, definitely. Now, away from Kenya, we head straight to the YouTube Streaming Awards. Yes, as we see Mr. Beast, of course, emerged the winner, not actually the winner, but the top content creator of all time. So, they recently, of course, ended YouTube Awards that took place 2 days back. Yes, and the Streaming Awards, quite where they award different content creators, applause them for what they are doing. And Mr. Beast emerged the winner regarding that aspect. So you get to see how really that was transpiring right there. There are quite so many categories of people that were into these awards, and the lists are very endless. But Mr. Beast matched the top content creator, and quite so many artists were there to really showcase this. And looking at the list here, when I look through here, the content creator of the year, that's on the YouTube Streaming Awards, that was Mr. Beast. Then the show of the year was Good Mythical Morning. Yes, that's the show there. I'm not going to, of course, go through all the categories. I'm just going to be quite very brief to just give you a brief insight regarding what really transpired there, and that will really create a very perfect impact, a perfect picture for you there to see. Then we see the streamer of the year was Kai, that's Kai Sinat, and of course looking at international, looking at the international categories, we see there is Kabi Lem, that is Italy, and then short form, that's Shina Melwawi. So those are some of the different categories of people that were winning. And these are now the overall awards, looking at the categories. And now coming back to the individual awards, there was the breakout creator, that's Ryan Trahan, and breakout streamer, Isha Speed. Breakout streamer, the person that really broke even regarding that, going too viral and Nexus. I know you could be surprised that you may not be so familiar with some of these content creators, probably. But one thing you need to understand is that what these people really put out there, by the time they're being selected, they are more of content that is really, because so much times we are so much used to the content that really doesn't portray something that is positive to the society or life transforming to the society, and that's why we think some of these things are going viral. But you will be surprised that when we come to the YouTube Streaming Awards, you will find that what you thought went viral on YouTube is not really recognized in that aspect, because at the end of the day, there is the aspect of humanity that is attached to that. Now, getting back to the YouTube, getting to understand, because you may be asking yourself, okay, I've won a YouTube Streaming Award, so what next? What are the benefits of that? Of course, getting to see that YouTube as a streaming platform, some of the people actually attach it to be one of the most platforms when it comes to paying back revenues to the people that are using, that have subscribed to the different channels. Now, for example, I'll tell you that, because I'm going to measure this per 1,000 views, that I'm not going to just focus on YouTube alone, but I'm going to cut across other streaming platforms, and we get to see the comparison and get to see how really relevant is streaming in such an age. Per 1,000 views, that's on YouTube. Okay, there are two categories of views. There are ad views, advertisements on your channel. How many views are being viewed on your channel with advertisements. Then there is also video views, just video without ads. Now you get to understand that if you get 1,000 video ads, you'll be entitled to 18 million US dollars. Yes, 18 million. That's 1,000 ads. People view that. But then if it's just plain video ads, just people viewing your videos, that's a little bit limited, because you'll be earning about $3 to $5. So that's how YouTube starts. But now, just a little comparison with other streaming platforms. If you're to look at Tidal, and actually this is under Jay-Z and Damian Marley. It's a partnership between the two. It's one of the actually the streaming platforms that gives the highest royalties to the different people that put out the content there. Because when you do the research, you get to realize that Tidal pays 100% revenues back to each subscribers. You know, the people that are the people that are creating content and putting it on the platform, it pays them back 100%, as compared to Spotify, which pays about 70% to the subscribers, to the people that are using the content. And now when we come back to Apple Music, it's even much more, a little less, because you can't realize that why Tidal is the way it is. It has quite a few users, as if you have to compare to other streaming platforms. Like there are quite a few users, let me say that. And you find that the subscription rates are high. You know, the monthly subscription of Tidal is a little bit high. It's rare even to use it for free, and no free version. So you get to find that Tidal has a catalog of about 8 million songs. When I say a catalog, I mean songs which it has ownership over that. But let me give you this interesting scenario. So as a person, as a content creator out there, you can actually use, select a certain streaming platform that you would really wish. I'm going to give you a comparison. I'm not going to choose for you, but it's upon you to look through and get to see that I think this platform will work out for me much more better. For example, per 1,000 views, Tidal will pay you $13. That's quite crazy. That's quite a crazy pay as compared to Spotify. For 1,000 views, it will pay you. 1,000 streams, it will pay you $3 million. That is Spotify. Coming down to Apple Music, it's a bit less than $1 per 1,000 streams. So that's about 0.01 per stream. Coming down to Spotify, 0.003, per stream. Coming down to Tidal, 0.013 per stream. So multiplying by 1,000 comes back to 1,000. So you get to realize that actually Tidal seems to be paying much more. YouTube, I told you, 1,000 views without ads, $3 to $5. So as a content creator out there, you get to understand. So that's what's regarding the streaming awards. I just try to be a bit broad talking about the streaming. I didn't want to just dwell on only YouTube streaming, but we can also have a little bit. Of course, sometime I'll pass by and we talk more about streaming. There is quite more that we can learn about streaming and getting to see how best can you really earn money from your streaming. Because so many times people talk about streaming and you wonder really how can I really earn money through streaming. Yes, you can get some good money as long as you're very strategic. So that was up for the YouTube Streaming Awards that concluded. It's so interesting that Mr. Beast was the leading content creator this year, but even the YouTube Awards 2021, he was that very gentleman led the list of the most of the top content creators that particular year. So Zora is on top of his game to put out the content right there. And this is content, like I told you, that has a certain positivity, a certain aspect of humanity, and of course quite knowledgeable, and it's very educative and very important to the society. And you definitely can't wait to really sit down and watch this content. Now we come to the end. I will wind up this as we look at Comcast stocks upgrade, even though of course the stocks seem to have a bearish trend. When I talk about bearish trends, I'll just digress a little bit. If you are familiar with forex trading or stock trading, you get to understand bearish trends always mean a downward. I mean, like the stocks are moving down. And when we talk about bullish trends, that's when a bullish trend is an uptrend. Let me say that. It makes it much more. So, Comcast stocks upgrade despite the bearish trend. And of course, looking through this, we get to realize that the CEO made a statement where he said that actually the media sector is heading into a very challenging period of weaker streaming results and much faster linear degradation. And of course, says well faggots. And of course, that is Stephen Carroll. Actually, this is one of the analysts at the Wall Street that upgraded the stocks of Comcast. Comcast is actually the mother of Universal, the famous Universal Pictures that we know right there. And of course, they are looking at the NBC and NBC as the entertainment unit of Comcast to really come up and create a favorable balance of shit for this particular company. And looking at that particular, despite the fact that you have a company, but there is that child of the company that you really expect that this one, I like that company you bought. For example, like ESPN being responsible for quite massive revenues of Disney. So now comes back to NBC, which is the largely an entertainment unit, because with NBC Universal, we see quite lots of a conglomerate of other subsidiaries that follow, but still under the content of Universal, because that's where NBC has Peacock, which is the streaming platform for the movies that are released by the Universal Pictures. So you get to understand that NBC Universal is like the flag bearer of Comcast to make sure that the balance of shit comes back together. Because as you know, currently the streaming world is a little bit becoming so shaky, despite the fact that it's the way to go. Because now we are away from the traditional programming, or what we can call the linear programming, which is, of course, revenues of linear TV programming are largely determined by advertisements, which may not be as much as common as of late currently, because so many companies that were advertising with these mainstream media cut the advertisement budgets. So the only way out for these companies is to ensure that they really put their streaming game on top. It's the only way out there, because you earn on subscription. You don't really depend on ads. Whether the ads are there, if they come, well and good. But if even though they don't really come, you can really still survive into the market right there. And that's regarding the business and entertainment this morning. And as you can see, what is really taking place, and quite so many strategies as the content creators are thinking very hard. How best can we revive the industry back to its top model, like how it was before the different epidemics that took place in the world? Back to you, Joram.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrew, for that. And of course, the entertainment industry is shaping up, I should say, and it's something that excites some of us, by the way, with the fact that these, for example, in the movie industry, but also on the other hand, I wish to just ask one single question before we leave. If you were to look at some of the challenges that we're facing in our entertainment in Uganda, what are some of the things that we can clearly look at, for example, from the Hollywood perspective, and we can add on 2 hours here?
Well, first of all, there is this aspect that we've always been talking about, and we are tired of it. Really, intellectual property. Let me say that. I mean, we ought to really embrace the talent, the content that our young creators are putting out there. Now, I was interacting some time back with Ragadik, and he said that, you know, that even though you introduce the word Islam and somebody else uses it, you're entitled to a pay. That is not
That's to the copyright issue.
Exactly.
I actually heard that the artist Cindy, Cinderella Sanyu, is set to meet President Yoweri Museveni, and they're going to be discussing the copyright law.
But I hope we have results, because we've always had talks copyright law. Now, let me surprise you. This very year, I got in touch with the Minister of Gender, and still addressed that particular item of intellectual property. And she told me, she was State Minister for Gender, and she told me that the coming week, they're going to sit with the cabinet and discuss the aspect of copyright content. And honestly, because there was a saga regarding why so many Ugandans are using a lot of foreign content, like regarding this aspect. And it's funny that they're making much more money from foreign content, yet now they are taking back that money to those foreigners. But then you come down to us, we who create the content that is played on the medias. We don't, Joram, we are past this thing of swag, feeling good, I'm known, I'm famous.
Yes, it is now professional.
It has to be professional.
I wish tomorrow you will be giving me some of, at least you will be giving us more of the saga that has actually happened in the music industry. We were expecting to have a gospel artist from Nigeria in Travis Green. Apparently he's not coming. And one of the reasons as to why he's not coming
Yeah.
is because of issues to do with the promoters and all that. There's a lot behind closed doors that we don't know. But also, on the other hand, there was also another incident after an artist in Oxlade from Nigeria failed to sing or failed to perform, if I'm to use the better word, due to issues with the promoters at the time he came into the country. Clearance of all this. I think Bridget will be giving us more of that tomorrow. But due to time, we're heading to a break and we shall return with more updates shortly.